Okay, now it's time to talk forgiveness. So this topic, like pretty much all the other ones I've spoken about in this program, could be a whole program in themselves. So we are just touching on the surface of these subjects in the hopes that you'll get some benefit from them and can start putting them into practice at some point. And of course, if you have any questions or anything, I'm always happy to answer them for you. Now, we're going to talk about the transformative process of forgiveness. It has 5 steps to it. So the first step is self-forgiveness. So we're going to forgive ourselves for allowing that person or the situation to affect our health, for allowing him, her, or it for causing any harm to us. And then the second step is to forgive the other person. So we want to forgive the other person for any harm he or she may have caused us. And you might be saying, whoa, wait a minute. They're the ones who caused me harm. Well, we're going to be talking to that momentarily after we get through these 5 stages. But you have to remember that forgiveness is a form of compassion. So step 3 in this process is give the person permission to forgive me. And again, you might be saying, but they're the ones who hurt me. But just remember that there are 2 people with every interaction. So just as that person may have hurt you, you may have hurt them without even knowing it. So you want to forgive yourself for causing harm to the other person, even though you didn't know. And then when you do that, you actually allow this forgiveness to take place. That forgiveness takes place in you. Because the other person in these situations don't even have to be aware or know anything. This is all a process for you to process the forgiveness. And then step 4 is to learn the lesson. So you must learn to see the good in this. Learn the lesson that it brought and see how you have become a better person because of this lesson. And then all you have to do is say that it's definitely in the past, but and remember that nothing ever happens to you. It happens for you to learn a lesson. And then be grateful for the lesson, not the experience. Be grateful for the lesson. And then the 5th step is to wish the situation and the person well. Now, I know there are many, many people who have been very deeply traumatized, physically and emotionally, by being inflicted upon them by other people. And when you forgive, you're actually forgiving yourself. So you forgive, and you're forgiving yourself. So you are allowing yourself to release the blocks that you've put in place inside of you because of the situation that needs to be forgiven. These blocks keep you stuck in the past. So something could have happened maybe 40 or 50 years ago. You're being blocked that whole time from expanding and opening up to all the goodness that you're meant to have. So if you can release these blocks by forgiving the person, not the situation, the person, then you will begin to flourish into the true full self that you're meant to be at this time on this planet. So one of my mentors, Mary Morrissey, she said something pretty profound, I think, about forgiveness. And I'm going to read it so I don't mess up the words. She says, as long as there is someone jailed, there has to be a jailer. Forgiveness frees the one being jailed, but most importantly, it frees the jailer to a life of greater freedom, fullness, and joy. So that is what I was just talking about. We are the jailer, and we are keeping ourselves jailed because we're not allowing ourselves to forgive the person who caused the situation. And then the healing codes, I don't know if you've heard of the healing codes, but it's a pretty amazing book. It's by Alex Lloyd and Ben Johnson. And it's all about the energy in the heart. And there's a chapter that says, there is unforgiveness in all illnesses, and it can kill you. So forgiving, again, is releasing. If you can't forgive the situation or the person, it constantly is attached to the person, and it has control over you. So most often the other person isn't suffering at all. It's you that's doing the suffering from holding on to this. So in order to release your suffering, you've got to release the person and forgive them. And again, that person doesn't even have to know you're doing this work. That has nothing to do with it. This is all for you. So you can forgive yourself for a lot of things, actually, but you forgive yourself for not being perfect. Maybe you could forgive yourself for forgetting that you already are perfect just the way you are, and that you're doing the best in the circumstances that have been presented to you. So there is another forgiveness prayer, or it's an ancient Hawaiian practice. These are all practices because they're practices because we're never going to be perfect at them, because they all take practice. We need to practice every day doing these forgiveness work, this grief work. There's a lot of practice, this mindfulness that we're working on to help change and make our lives better. So this ancient Hawaiian practice, maybe you've heard of it. It's called the Ho'oponopono. It's a reconciliation and forgiveness practice. It was made up or brought about by Dr. Hugh Len and Joe Vitale. Joe Vitale is a wellness practitioner, and he pretty much brought about the Ho'oponopono, at least in my circle. He's in my circle of influence, and that's how I learned about it. But it's only 4 short phrases, and we can all start practicing it right now. After I tell you the phrases, it's very simple to put into practice. That's one of the great things about this. So the 4 phrases are, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. So Joe said when he learned these, he had to write them on sticky notes and paste them everywhere, like on his computer, in his car, in his mirror, in his kitchen, everywhere that he was. So he would constantly be saying that. And he says, as you constantly say these phrases, it's ingrained in your mind. And before you know it, you're always saying it. So it does become a daily practice that's running in the back of your mind. So you're actually helping yourself with an ingrained practice that's pretty easy to implement as long as you're mindful enough to do it. So he said that you can do these in any order, the phrases that come up in any order that sound or seem right for you to do. And you don't have to do them with feeling like when you're saying it in the back of your mind, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. But he says if you do say them with meaning, then they certainly work faster and you see the results sooner. And as I said before, this forgiveness is an act of compassion. So when we have compassion, we're helping the whole planet along with ourselves. So I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Those are the 4 phrases to say. And if we can put those into practice, I think we'll become better people. Now, as I said earlier, this stuff, it was very short, but it is very powerful. So I highly suggest going back and reviewing this video several times and hopefully start putting it into practice. Put it into practice. You can start now, because I bet if you sat down and made a list, or sat down to make a list of people or situations or things that you need to forgive, I know you can come up with one right away, and that's you. So there are many things that you can forgive yourself about, and it's nothing bad at all. It's just some of the beliefs that we've been carrying around since our childhood that really no longer serve us, but they are so self-limiting and keeping us stuck from making progress into the person that we're supposed to become while we're here. So that's something you can forgive yourself. Do the Ho'oponopono with, and the forgiveness, the transformative forgiveness process. So, and again, remember that this is a daily practice. Maybe really sit down, take some time and sit down for all the people that you know that you need to forgive. And maybe every day do a forgiveness practice for that person, one person each day. Because as I said, it is a continual daily practice. All these things that we're talking about in this program have to do with daily mindfulness, life-changing habits to help progress us so we can end up living a very new, true to ourselves lives, even starting now through menopause, but definitely beyond menopause, where we start to flourish into our own. So we will continue next week with working on some self-love and self-acceptance. Those are some pretty big ones too. So I'll look forward to seeing you next week, and thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.